Okay, so on November 11th, 2025, Min Hee-jin took the witness stand in the ongoing lawsuit between ADOR and the production team Dolphin Kidnapping Crew, or Dolphin Kidnappers, 돌고래 유괴단, which was her first court appearance in a case that is not directly related to her own dispute. And the session took place at Seoul Central District Court, and it's centered on one question. Did Min Hee-jin misuse her authority to grant favors to a close creative partner? So in this video, we're going to break down Min Hee-jin's latest courtroom testimony, what she said and what she avoided, and why this may be the most revealing phase of the entire ADOR versus Dolphin Kidnapping Crew case. Now, for context, the conflict between ADOR and director Shin Woo-seok of Dolphin Kidnappers had already been brewing for months over this disagreements surrounding New Jeans' ETA music video director's cut. I have already talked about this on my channel and made a few videos about it. So last year, Shin Woo-seok and his company, which had directed several of New Jeans' music videos and visuals, uploaded a director's cut version of ETA to their own YouTube channel in August 2024. And this version included a different ending, like a few extra seconds that dramatically changed the tone of the entire story. So in it, the female protagonist, by the way, that protagonist is not one of the members of New Jeans. But anyway, the female protagonist, after discovering her boyfriend's infidelity, is seen with his body in the trunk of her car before driving off a cliff. So she got out of the car, set it on a auto mode or something, and let the car fall off the ledge, which is a very dark and twisted ending. Which was missing from the official version. Now, that brief edition was kind of problematic. So Apple, which had sponsored and featured the video as part of their iPhone campaign, reportedly objected to having its brand linked to an implied murder scene and asked ADOR to delete or modify the clip after realizing that Shin Woo-seok and his company uploaded the director's version. Citing ADOR in turn requested that Dolphiners or Dolphin Kidnappers remove the video, citing intellectual property ownership and the absence of formal approval for the alternate ending, which makes perfect sense. But Shin Woo-seok countered that everything had been verbally agreed upon in advance and that ADOR's new management was rewriting history to frame his team as violators. Okay, so these are the context. Again, I have talked about it before. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about a few articles that discussed what Min Hee-jin talked about in court yesterday. I will read you a couple or maybe 3 articles because to tell you as comprehensively as possible about the case. But before that, here is what the court recently said about this incident. I have translated the full document, right? So right here, dispute with key production partner and damage to the defendant's works. Based on the context of these evidence and the overall arguments presented, the following facts and circumstances are established. Under the outsourcing contract signed between ADOR and the music video production company, Dolphin Kidnappers, ownership and intellectual property rights of all deliverables produced during contract performance belong to ADOR, and Dolphin Kidnappers was prohibited from distributing or posting any deliverables online without ADOR's prior written consent. Nevertheless, around August 31st, 2024, Dolphin Kidnappers uploaded the ETA director's cut video on its official YouTube channel without ADOR's prior written approval. As a result, Apple's US headquarters requested that ADOR either remove the video entirely or re-upload it after deleting all Apple branding elements. Considering these facts, the court finds that ADOR's actions taken against Dolphin Kidnappers for breaching the contract constituted a legitimate exercise of contractual rights and therefore cannot be regarded as a violation of ADOR's key obligations under the exclusive management agreement with the defendants. Now, one more segment. Moreover, the submitted evidence does not prove that Dolphin Kidnappers possessed such exceptional production capabilities that it could not be replaced by any other production company. The exclusive contract between ADOR and the defendants does not specify, here defendants means New Jeans, does not specify that New Jeans music videos must be produced by a particular studio or that the defendants have the right to designate a specific production company. Accordingly, the mere fact that a dispute occurred between ADOR and Dolphin Kidnappers, a third party not party to the exclusive contract, does not constitute a material breach of ADOR's obligations under the exclusive agreement. So there you go. The court has already acknowledged what happened between ADOR and Dolphin Kidnappers and basically said that, the actions that ADOR took against Dolphin Kidnappers makes perfect sense legally and contractually. So I think the game is already sealed. But let's see what Min Hee-jin has said as a witness in court to try to turn this whole thing around. Okay? Let's start here. An article by Dispatch titled, "Because Director Shin Woo-seok is a Star." Min Hee-jin. Throughout the hearing, Min Hee-jin repeatedly praised director Shin Woo-seok's talent. She said she gave him full authority to post the music video because, in her words, Shin Woo-seok is a clever marketer, Shin Woo-seok is a star, and Shin Woo-seok is a unique person. Min Hee-jin claimed all of this was done through verbal agreement, which she described as standard practice in the entertainment industry. While serving as ADOR CEO, she said she trusted Shin Woo-seok so much that she didn't even need to check the final product. ADOR's position was very different. The company argued that Min Hee-jin had granted Shin Woo-seok unprecedented. Hold on, someone pointed out. Just so I know, this one is a bit hard to. Just so that I don't.
Unprecedented.
Okay, here we go. Unprecedented, special treatments. So the company, ADOR, argued that Min Hee-jin had granted Shin Woo-seok unprecedented special treatments, not only signing a high-cost production contract, but also allowing the release of official video materials in a way that went against ADOR's corporate interest. Now, this is how Dispatch began their article. On November 11th, Seoul Central District Court's Civil Division 62 with the judge Lee Hyun-seo held the third hearing in ADOR's 1.1 billion Korean won damages lawsuit against production company Dolphiners and director Shin Woo-seok. Min Hee-jin took the stand as a witness for the defense. That day, the article says, both sides clash over three key issues. One, whether the oral agreement about releasing the ETA music video was valid. 2, whether Min Hee-jin's actions constituted a breach of fiduciary duty. And 3, whether she gave preferential treatment to Shin Woo-seok. And yeah, one of the things that Dispatch is pretty good at is organizing content in a way that is very readable and digestible for the audience, right? So let's start. Number 1, oral agreement, 구두 협의. In August last year, Shin Woo-seok uploaded the director's cut of New Jeans' ETA music video to the Dolphiners YouTube channel without ADOR's prior written consent. ADOR said Apple, the co-producing partner, later asked them to delete or edit the video. ADOR says, Apple requested that the director's cut video be deleted or modified. Did you actually consult with your partners before posting it? Min Hee-jin said, it was verbally agreed upon. There were 5 people present. Apple representatives, Apple's ad agency, TWA, Director Shin, and me. The director's cut had a different ending, which everyone liked. Okay. We decided to release it later as a sort of shock therapy once the song started fading from public memory. Min Hee-jin also said, the staff who were involved in that project have already left. It seems the current Apple representatives who weren't there just sent a formal email. I also heard that HYBE deliberately sought a procedural answer from the current staff who didn't know the details. ADOR said, even in the New Jeans ADOR exclusive contract trial, the court did not accept verbal agreements. New Jeans claimed that Min Hee-jin's production work had been verbally approved by HYBE, but the court rejected that. Are you saying even major contracts that require board approval were always handled verbally? Check this out. Min Hee-jin said, when Bang Si-hyuk offered me the job, all of a sudden she's bringing in Bang Si-hyuk, Hitman Bang. Min Hee-jin said, when Bang Si-hyuk offered me the job, he didn't even feel the need to label me as a key man in the contract. That's how strongly he wanted me. I made it clear I wanted full creative control, and Bang Si-hyuk said, then create your own Min Hee-jin world. Everything was done through verbal agreements. That's normal in this industry. She said this. She really said this in the court. 업계 통상적인 일이다. That's normal in this industry. Why single out director Shin Woo-seok? So that was the first section of the article. Next section. Breach of duty? Pain. Even knowing the potential profitability of the New Jeans music videos, Min Hee-jin allowed the director's cut to be released exclusively on Dolphiners' channel. ADOR claimed this was an act against the company's interest. They also cited a messenger chat where Min Hee-jin allegedly said, the views are high. Let's get more money from the advertiser. Wow. Yeah, we haven't seen the screenshot of this chat. 뮤비 조회수 높으니까 광고주에게 돈 더 뜯자. And that verb, 뜯자, sounds kind of violent, as if let's take away more money from the advertiser. Let's get more money from the advertiser because the views are high. Now, ADOR says in court, by allowing the video to go only on Dolphiners' channel instead of ADOR's, you essentially gave away the license. Isn't that the same as forfeiting ADOR's profits? Min Hee-jin, that's such an exaggerated statement. Regardless of which channel it's uploaded to, the music copyright revenue still goes to ADOR. Okay? I wasn't just thinking about monetary profit. I wanted to create intangible value. The Dolphiners audience is very different from ADOR's. It's made up mostly of people in advertising and creative industries. I thought that could actually broaden exposure for New Jeans. ADOR said in response, but you have personally declined New Jeans' participation in events before, citing that the channels had low viewership and weak impact. For instance, the channel you rejected had 380,000 subscribers, more than Dolphiners' 180,000. Huh, interesting. Now, Min Hee-jin said, Shin Woo-seok is a star. Okay, let me continue. Shin Woo-seok is a star. The other channel may have more subscribers, but it doesn't have a name. I understand the value of an influencer. I uploaded it to Shin's channel because that's what matters. Where and how you post content. New Jeans' success came from that kind of sense. People got excited because a unique video appeared on an indie channel. That's exactly why I could make hits. Yep, she really said 내가, the first person pronoun subject. 내가 히트할 수 있었던 이유가 바로 그것. That's exactly why I was able to make hits. Yeah, she just cannot stop talking about herself, even in court, right? Now, next section is preferential treatment. 특혜. For other production companies, Min Hee-jin signed contracts worth 200 to 300 million Korean won per video. But for Dolphiners, she repeatedly signed contracts worth over 1 billion won each, which is expensive. In 2023 alone, ADOR paid about 3.3 billion won for 4 music videos, roughly 25% of Dolphiners' annual revenue of 13.2 billion won, ADOR said in court. Dolphiners signed a contract with Kakao Entertainment in 2021 that required them to achieve 18 billion won in operating profit by 2026. Now, I have talked about this on my channel. I think that's one of the... Was it this one? I think it's this one with this thumbnail. So go check it out. I will attach a link to that video. Maybe it's another one. I'll find it. Now, back to the article. So it's super interesting how they pointed out the contract with Kakao Entertainment. Let me read it again. Dolphiners signed a contract with Kakao Entertainment in 2021 that required them to achieve 18 billion won in operating profit by 2026. Did you funnel projects to help them meet that target? By the way, according to the Korean media, that contract signed between Kakao Entertainment and Dolphiners is so unfavorable for the Dolphiners that it is termed as like a slave contract. But anyways, let me talk about that more later if I have a chance. Min Hee-jin said in response, with the cost of one music video, I could usually make 5 or 6. Even during the ETA shoot, I try to save money by filming multiple pieces of content at once while abroad. That's all it was. ADOR said, didn't you receive and review the Kakao Dolphiners contract from director Shin? Wait. Why ADOR is asking that? Didn't you receive and review the contract between Kakao and Dolphiners directly from director Shin? And check out Min Hee-jin's answer. I did receive it, but I didn't review it. I don't really remember, but Vice President Lee, probably Lee Sang-woo, who was a certified accountant, probably looked at it. I'm not knowledgeable about contracts. I didn't even read my own contract carefully, which is why all this trouble happened. How could I fully understand someone else's? Wow. ADOR said, as ADOR CEO at the time, did you review the final cut before it was uploaded? Min Hee-jin said, there was no need. I had already given clear notes on what couldn't be included during the shoot. I don't remember exactly, but I trusted director Shin to handle it. And the article ends by saying the court decided to hold another hearing. The fourth session is scheduled for December 19th at 11:20 a.m. But another article says it's going to be happening on December 9th. So for that, I gotta recheck for the dates. Now, what do you think? This is super interesting. And the fact that ADOR even pointed out the contract between Shin, Dolphiners, and Kakao Entertainment, because there are a lot of theories and rumors and speculation going on about the connections between Min Hee-jin and Shin Woo-seok and Kakao and other affiliated companies, right? And Shin Woo-seok, for some unknown reason, shared his contract with Kakao with Min Hee-jin. So from this, we are basically can say that ADOR is pointing out that Min Hee-jin did all these things, paying for music videos very expensively to help Shin Woo-seok out. Now, Dispatch article was this, but I wanted to look into this case deeper, so I decided to read you this article as well, titled Dolphiners Witness Min Hee-jin, Legal Trickery and Baseless Claims versus ADOR, who said abuse of power. Because this article included her remarks and statements in a more verbatim manner. Okay, so let me read you this. I think we can skip the beginning portion because it basically summarizes the case. Like this case stems from August of last year when Dolphiners, which had been contracted to produce videos for ADOR, uploaded the director's cut version of NewJeans' ETA music video to its own YouTube channel. ADOR, which holds ownership of all NewJeans related visual content, questioned on what grounds director Shin Woo-seok had uploaded the video on his personal channel. In response, Shin Woo-seok deleted all NewJeans related videos previously posted on another unofficial fan channel he operated called Panisu channel. Yeah, so you definitely need to check out the video I made on this if you have no idea what this means. It was really kind of hilarious at the same time, although I'm pretty sure it kind of annoyed the hell out of a lot of people when Shin Woo-seok posted all these lengthy statements on his social media, Instagram, directed against ADOR, trying to make it sound like he's the most righteous and ADOR is being all like pathetic and unfair. And the article says this sudden removal angered fans who had enjoyed the videos, and criticism toward ADOR began to grow. Whereas ADOR never asked him to delete contents on Panisu channel. It was him who either deleted. I don't think he deleted. I think he made them private. Anyway, the article says, following that, Shin Woo-seok filed a criminal complaint, arguing that ADOR's public statements referring to the upload as an unauthorized release had damaged his reputation. ADOR then countersued Dolphiners for damages. Well, why did he do that though? Because he clearly violated the contract, which the Korean court even acknowledged. So I'm not sure, why he did that. Anyways, at the latest hearing, the article says, Min Hee-jin appeared as a witness on behalf of Dolphiners. Previously, she had personally attended court for her separate lawsuit concerning the exercise of her put option and stock payment disputes. This was the first time she appeared in court for a case that not directly involving her own claim. And I don't think journalists expected this to happen. So this was a pretty interesting case. And I'm not sure whether Min Hee-jin received legal consultation and recommendations from Sejong lawyers about what she said in court yesterday. Because it didn't sound like it helped. Anyways, let's dig in. Min Hee-jin. A verbal contract with director Shin Woo-seok. I wanted to make use of his marketing instinct. The cross-examination began with questions from the defense. When asked about allowing the director's cut of NewJeans' ETA music video to be uploaded on Dolphin Kidnapping Crew's YouTube channel, Min Hee-jin explained, "First of all, I believe it's basic courtesy to respect creators you collaborate with. And secondly, posting it on their personal channel could reach audiences who aren't already part of our usual fan base. It could function as secondary marketing. That's why I allowed it." When asked if the approval was given verbally, she replied, "In this industry, verbal agreements are the norm. I honestly don't understand why this is even being questioned." If you ask other producers or directors, they will tell you the same thing. Verbal agreements are completely natural and standard practice. Written contracts are actually rare. It's the written ones that are unusual, unrealistic, even strange. Now, what does she mean by the industry? Well, I have a sense. Probably she's referring to the industry norm established by her previous company, that is SM Entertainment, who has ruled the industry for a long time before BTS came out of nowhere. and now HYBE became the largest entertainment company in the industry. But yeah, that's super regrettable how she's describing the industry this way. In this industry, verbal agreements are the norm. I honestly don't understand why this is even being questioned. Written contracts are actually rare. It's the written ones that are unusual, unrealistic, even strange. And this makes me mad as an investor in this industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, how would this sound to institutional investors and foreign investors? You know what I mean? Meanwhile, the Korean government is trying to, promote K-pop as this national treasure industry. But Min Hee-jin is saying that, in this industry, written contracts are rare. Now, sorry, let me get back to the article. Explaining why the director's cut existed in the first place, Min Hee-jin said, Director Shin Woo-seok wanted to add his own kind of conclusion, a short ending with a touch of satire and humor. Satire and humor. Let me know what you thought about the director's cut if you watched it. It's not that different except a few seconds of added part. Again, that's when the car falls off the ledge with the human body of a male protagonist still in the trunk. So, I'm not sure what she means by satire and humor. I don't know. Maybe there are some artistic interpretations that could really justify the director's cut. Anyways, she said, when we held a previous screening, Apple's vice president and creative head also preferred that ending. According to her, again. It had a shocking twist and room for multiple interpretations, so it was an appealing creative choice. At the time, Apple wasn't our boss. Okay. They were our partner, an equal partner pursuing mutual benefit. Apple could give input, but not dictate creative control. Since Apple was the main sponsor for the official version, they suggested, we personally like this ending, but from Apple's perspective, it might be too risky, so you release your version as your own work, and we will exclude that ending from the logo version. That's how it was settled. By the way, so after the car falls off the cliff, the screen goes dark, Apple logo appears, and then the ringtone of Apple iPhone sounds. You can hear the sound like ding. That's how it ends. And no wonder why they thought it's a risky ending for from Apple's perspective. Anyway, but again, this whole thing that she just said was her own account, right? Min Hee-jin's account. Now the article says, when asked whether she had approved Shin Woo-seok's upload of the director's cut beforehand, Min Hee-jin said, yes, verbally. We had discussed it during production. We agreed that the clean version would come first, and much later, after people had forgotten about it, we would release the director's cut as a kind of shock therapy. It would spark renewed interest, and the original music video's views would rise again. From my standpoint, there was no reason to say no. On timing, she added, it would be foolish to post the director's cut right after the main video. That would kill the buzz. You need to let one wave peak before starting another. Uploading immediately would have been self-sabotage. I would have said, are you out of your mind? Apple had given us a campaign window, so we planned to post it after that, the moment that would maximize renewed attention. She then elaborated on her working style. Honestly, that's just how I work. Shin Woo-seok isn't a typical music video director. Usually, when I work with people outside the idol industry, it becomes exhausting because I have to explain every single detail. You can't do this, you must do that. So normally, I avoid non-industry people. But I have always believed that true creativity comes from breaking structure. Shin Woo-seok wasn't interested in idols or even shooting a music video at first. I had to persuade him because I wanted to make something different and meaningful. I valued his creativity and wanted him to express it. He's famous for his absurd B-grade, tongue-in-cheek style in commercials. I wanted to use that strength, his sense of timing, his marketing instinct. He has a real feel for when something should drop for maximum impact. So I told him, you decide the best timing. You have that instinct for reading the market. I wanted to get a double effect, great content and sharp timing. I wouldn't say I trusted him blindly, but I wanted to leverage his marketing sense. Now, the article says, when the plaintiff argued that posting on Dolphin Kidnapping Crew's channel caused ADOR financial loss, Min Hee-jin shot back. That's such a stupid, absurd claim. 바보 같고 어이없는 주장. That's such a stupid, absurd claim or ridiculous claim. Prompting the judge, check this out, prompting the judge to interrupt her and ask her to refrain from using the phrasing. Wow. Prompting the judge to interrupt her and says that that's a claim made by the plaintiff, so please refrain from using the phrasing. Now, the article says, Min Hee-jin clarified, what I meant is that, from my perspective, it's just that ridiculous. The song revenue still goes to ADOR, so what exactly is the loss? Dolphin Kidnapping Crew's channel isn't even aimed at idol fans. It's a channel mainly watched by people in advertising and creative fields. Posting there exposes the work to a broader, non-fan audience. That's a gain, not a loss. That's why I use that expression. So she's justifying for saying that that's such a stupid, ridiculous claim. Yeah, at this point, I would say that even if she had received some legal consultation from Sejong lawyers, maybe she forgot all of it. Or, I don't know, maybe Sejong wanted her to perform this way. Because at this point, Sejong's reputation has been damaged, at least from my perspective. What are they doing? Now, the article says, when asked whether she had replied to an email from ADOR's deputy CEO following her dismissal, which asked if she had discussed the upload with Dolphin Kidnappers, Min Hee-jin said, I don't remember if I replied. I don't think I did. My art director called to brief me about that. The deputy CEO kept asking whether there had been prior discussion. My staff had already told him there was a verbal agreement, but he kept pressing the issue. He even asked for documentation of the verbal agreement, which made no sense. So internally, we thought they're trying to find a pretext to attack me again. I was dismissed in late August, and there were already so many HYBE-led maneuvers to harass me. If I figured they were just looking for another excuse, harass me. I figured they were just looking for another excuse, meaning to harass her. It felt strange that they kept asking even after getting an answer. I wondered, what's their agenda? What are they trying to twist this into? There were a lot of weird emails from that deputy. I ignored most of them. No point in replying. HYBE already forced me out indirectly anyway. Well, first of all, Min Hee-jin is the one who quit and got out of HYBE. And didn't she post something about freedom? Didn't she post a photo and a song about freedom on her social media when she made that statement that she's quitting? And by the way, why did HYBE send such emails to you again and again? Because it's so ridiculous that there were no written verbal contracts about anything. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't be surprised if HYBE was genuinely shocked after reviewing what actually happened, what used to happen when Min Hee-jin was a CEO. Now the article says, commenting on the lawsuit itself, Min Hee-jin said, it's completely irrational. Damage claims like this are basically penalties for breach of contract. But they're the ones who wrote the contract unilaterally, and now they're weaponizing it. That's an abuse of the law. You have to assess whether there's actual damage and an actual victim. I've been in legal battles long enough to see how many legal tricksters there are out there. 법꾸라지. Legal tricksters there are out there. People who use the system to torment others. When you really think about it, there's no logical basis for claiming damages here. Wow. Did she really refer to Kim In-jung lawyers as legal tricksters? Or maybe they're referring to HYBE as, she's referring to HYBE as legal tricksters. 법꾸라지. That's hilarious. Now, the next section. ADOR. Min Hee-jin, wasn't this favoritism toward Dolphin Kidnapping Crew? The article says, after the defense finished questioning, the plaintiff, ADOR, began their cross-examination. I guess beforehand, it was Shin Woo-seok's side, Shin Woo-seok's lawyers, questioning Min Hee-jin as a witness, and now it's ADOR's turn. When asked whether the director's cut of New Jeans' ETA was uploaded to Dolphin Kidnapping Crew's YouTube channel right after her dismissal as CEO, Min Hee-jin replied, yes. ADOR's lawyer then asked, if you look at the post on the defendant's social media, the one that said it must be a difficult time for Panisu, New Jeans fans, stay strong. So that's what Shin Woo-seok posted on his Instagram at the time, because New Jeans fans, he's basically saying that New Jeans fans must be having a hard time because all of these dramas happening around the group, with the conflicts between New Jeans, ADOR, HYBE, and Min Hee-jin. Now, so the lawyer pointed that out. The fact that director Shin Woo-seok posted the message on his Instagram directed at New Jeans fans. It must be a difficult time for New Jeans fans, or Panisu, stay strong. And the lawyer says, doesn't that make it seem like Dolphin Kidnappers uploaded the video in solidarity with you after your dismissal? So that was a question that they asked Min Hee-jin. Min Hee-jin answered sharply, that sounds like the kind of speculation HYBE or Kim In-jung would make. I never told them to write such a comment, so I don't think that's the case. 그건 하이브나 김앤장에서 할 수 있는 추측인 것 같다. Yeah, she must be hating Kim In-jung so much now. After all these losses, legal losses experienced by New Jeans, sharing the same Sejong lawyers. Min Hee-jin, when the lawyer noted that a previous ruling between ADOR and New Jeans had already rejected similar arguments, Min Hee-jin dismissed it. As far as I understand, that was a different case. Whether Shin Woo-seok deserved to be sued for damages is the issue being addressed here. That earlier judgment didn't rule on this specific matter. ADOR pressed her on why such an important contract, one involving company IP, was done verbally. Min Hee-jin responded, even Chairman Bang Si-hyuk made me an offer verbally when he recruited me. He said, create your own world, Min Hee-jin world. I trusted that and joined. That's also a major deal, and yet it was handled verbally. Oh, so creating a Min Hee-jin world and posting New Jeans music videos on your personal account, to me, that sounds completely different, though. Anyways, let me finish her statement first. That's also a major deal, and yet it was handled verbally. So why are they pretending this is strange? In this industry, all practical agreements are made verbally. Why is HYBE applying this stricter standard only to Shin Woo-seok? ADOR then presented figures. ADOR paid Dolphin Kidnapping Crew 3.3 billion Korean won in 2023 for 4 music videos. That's 25% of their total annual revenue of 13.2 billion won. Were you aware of that? Min Hee-jin replied, 그렇겠죠, meaning probably, yes. They followed, ADOR lawyers, followed with another point, showing a report about Dolphin Kidnapping Crew's hidden contract with Kakao Entertainment. By the way, one of the Korean media agencies, usually reporting on like business deals and business industry, reported on this secret contract between Dolphiners and Kakao Entertainment, or Kakao. And that's probably how these lawyers have this data. Okay, so they said their annual operating profit is only 700 million Korean won. Yet their stock purchase agreement with Kakao requires them to reach a cumulative profit of 18 billion won by 2026. Were you aware of that? Min Hee-jin said, no, I had no idea. Did you personally review that Kakao contract? The lawyer asked. No, Min Hee-jin replied, then added vaguely, I might have passed it along, but I don't recall, or I don't really remember. So let me say that again. I might have passed it along, but I don't really remember. 저는 전달을 했을 거다. 기억이 안 나지만. ADOR lawyers then presented KakaoTalk messages between Min Hee-jin and ADOR's deputy CEO, a former accountant. You two discussed reviewing the stock sale agreements and how to buy or sell the shares. You did receive the contract from Shin Woo-seok, correct? Min Hee-jin admitted, yes. Wow, this is scary. The way Kim Hyun-jang lawyers presenting these evidence and the way they're questioning her. Yeah. Let me finish this. ADOR lawyers, probably Kim Hyun-jang lawyers, pressed further. So you knew Dolphin Kidnapping Crew had to reach 18 billion in profits under the Kakao deal, and you funneled them projects accordingly, didn't you? Min Hee-jin snapped back. Even if I received the contract, we didn't understand it in detail. We were just saying things like, is that even realistic? My deputy was an accountant, so he was the one interpreting it. People are blowing this out of proportion. I didn't even read my own contract carefully. That's why things turned out like this. Do you really think I read someone else's contract line by line just to give them work? Shin Woo-seok barely charged any labor cost. With the budget HYBE uses for one video, we made 5 or 6. Compare them. How could that possibly be favoritism? We just shot efficiently, multiple cuts during one trip to save cost. These claims are ridiculous. It's slander. Now, I just want to point out that I wouldn't be surprised if Min Hee-jin, at this point, even when she lies, she believes in her own lies. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that a lot of viewers and my subscribers have said. Given her characteristics as, someone describing her as a narcissist or something else, she's the kind who would really passionately and truthfully believe in everything she says, even when many of them are just blunt lies. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's interesting the way she's saying these. Even though I'm just reading this article, I could almost hear her talking in court. Now, the article says, asked again about the timing of the director's cut release, Min Hee-jin said, people make it sound like wordplay, but it wasn't released when Shin Woo-seok wanted. It wasn't some new project. It was the same video, just with a different ending. I told him to use his sense as a marketer to pick a good timing that would make it resonate again. I encouraged him to use his marketing value too. When asked whether she had previewed or approved the final upload, Min Hee-jin replied, no. She continued, because I already knew Shin Woo-seok's style. I didn't need to check it. I had already given him clear creative boundaries and told him what not to include. I'm meticulous about those things. I might have seen it, but I don't recall. Either way, I trusted him to handle it. there was no need for further consultation. I had already given verbal approval. She added, Shin Woo-seok's not stupid. He has a great sense for timing. That's why I worked with him. If he decided it was the right time to post, then there was a reason. We had an unspoken understanding. I might have actually casually said, maybe around this time, but I don't remember clearly. At this point, she's really helping ADOR and HYBE and their lawyers the more she speaks. Because she's known for leaving all these trails without even herself realizing it. You know what I'm saying? We had an unspoken understanding, but right after saying that, she also said, I might have casually said, maybe around this time, but I don't remember clearly. When ADOR asked, so he didn't send it to you again right before uploading, Min Hee-jin replied, no reason to. And when asked, then why did he post it at that specific time? She retorted, why would I know? I'm not Shin Woo-seok. When questioned again whether she had allowed Shin Woo-seok to post behind-the-scenes footage whenever he wanted, Min Hee-jin corrected them. Whenever isn't the right word. At the right time. 아무 때나라는 표현은 어폐가 있고 적기. At the right time. ADOR then argued, the intellectual property of the director's cut belongs to ADOR. Uploading it exclusively on the defendant's channel instead of ADOR's is effectively granting them a license. Isn't that true? Min Hee-jin responded curtly, that's a strange and exaggerated claim. I didn't grant anything. The music rights still belong to ADOR. Uploading to different platforms diversifies reach. Putting it only on our own channel would have been a dumb move. By not uploading it ourselves, we allowed it to reach audiences we normally couldn't. When asked, but wouldn't uploading it to ADOR's channel generate revenue while uploading elsewhere forfeits that income? Min Hee-jin replied, no, that channel doesn't even exist to make personal profit. I was pursuing a different kind of gain, intangible value, which is far greater than what you can quantify. ADOR pointed out that when evaluating other collaborations, she had sometimes reconsidered based on channel subscriber count. The YouTube channel you turned down had 380,000 subscribers, while Dolphin Kidnappers had only 186,000. Why did you allow theirs? Min Hee-jin replied, because value isn't determined by subscriber numbers. Every creator and project has a different kind of worth. Some videos need views. Others trade view counts for creative impact. This isn't about math. Shin Woo-seok may have fewer followers, but he's a star. The other channel might have more subscribers, but no name recognition. Shin Woo-seok shot APAC. Yep, he did. Shin Woo-seok shot APAC and even worked with the Blue House. He's a known figure. That's why his channel was the better choice. You can't compare these things numerically. Creative and influencer value are entirely different metrics. When ADOR noted, you didn't upload it to HYBE's main channel, Min Hee-jin replied, that was deliberate. It's funnier that way. More interesting when fewer people see it. Posting on HYBE's channel would have been boring. No one would care. The element of surprise. Why is it suddenly here? That's what makes content work. Placement is part of creative strategy. Even a single upload requires sense. That's why New Jeans succeeded. The Panisu channel barely had views, but bunnies went wild because the content was unique. People who don't understand creative context cannot make good work. That's why so many end up producing dull, predictable stuff. The reason I make hits is because I recognize that difference. Now, one more segment from this article. The court also questioned Min Hee-jin directly. The judge asked, during your time as CEO, roughly how many music video production contracts did you sign with outside companies? Min Hee-jin replied, too many to count. I worked there for about 2.5 years, and we tended to produce several at once. I would say over 20. The court continued. In those cases, were there both an official company version and a separate director's version? How often did that happen? Min Hee-jin answered, never before. This was the first time. It only happened because Shin Woo-seok is an unusual person. The judge pressed further. In other contracts, could a production company that ADOR hired with company funds upload the same work on another platform, like their own YouTube channel? Has that ever been written into a contract? Min Hee-jin replied, I don't really remember the contract details. Usually, they upload snippets for self-promotion, portfolio purposes, but normally, there's just one official version. The court clarified. So you're saying that aside from the version ADOR posted on its own channel, the production company could also post the same video later on its own channel? Is that correct? Min Hee-jin answered, yes, for portfolio use. Like, I made this. It's natural. They might want recognition to show their work, attract new clients. The judge then asked, you said there were around 20 contracts. In any of those cases, did the production company ever post the video first on their own channel before ADOR? Min Hee-jin replied, of course not. The official music videos were always uploaded by us first. The director's cut was practically the same as the main one, only about 10 seconds different. It was basically identical content, so I didn't think twice about letting them handle it. The judge continued. After the music video was made, you watched the director's cut with several people, right? You said you later allowed the company to post it when the timing was right. Did you ever compare the version you saw then to the one uploaded on their channel to confirm it was the same? Min Hee-jin answered, not really compare, but I did watch it when it was uploaded. I thought, oh, they posted it and it looked the same. No added scenes. I assumed it was identical. She added, there weren't any new people in the added scenes, no issues with likeness rights or anything like that. In fact, all the attention helped. It made people rewatch the main music video too. So I honestly don't understand why they're nitpicking about this. The next hearing is scheduled for December 9th. So that was the article. You see why I decided to share this article as well, right? Because Dispatch, although they're good at making their article digestible, this one had far more details and nuance. And yeah, after listening to Min Hee-jin's testimony, what stands out is a lack of self-awareness. Like, she keeps describing herself as a creative visionary, but the more she talks, the clearer it becomes that she doesn't understand or respect corporate structure. I mean, she openly admits that there were no written contracts, right? That she allowed an outside production company to upload company-owned content on their personal channel. And that she simply trusted their timing because they had good marketing sense. It's really managerial negligence. How did she even become a CEO? What's worse is how she frames this as normal industry practice, right? She insists that written contracts are unrealistic, which might sound, which might sound artistic to some people and rebellious, but in a company managing billion-won assets is ridiculous. And she built a narrative where like artistic freedom justifies, breaking every rule of accountability. And that mindset makes her a risk to anyone she works with. So I don't think this is looking good for her future either, if she has any. And her comments about being fun and buzz, like the way the director's cut being uploaded on a completely different channel, that also reveals something problematic, right? instead of protecting ADOR's intellectual property, she talks about how uploading elsewhere was interesting and playful. For a CEO, every upload carries brand and legal and financial implications, right? Not just aesthetic ones. So her dismissive tone toward ADOR's legal arguments shows that she still sees herself as a creator, not an executive bound by fiduciary duty. So, yeah, I feel like overall, Min Hee-jin's testimony doesn't prove her innocence at all. It just proves ADOR's point. I mean, she blurred the line between personal taste and corporate responsibility, treating business governance like an optional formality or something. Yeah. I do have one more article because this one also had some other details. Let me briefly go through it. If it basically sounds the same, I will skip and then wrap it up, okay? So, blah, blah, blah. At the time, ADOR questioned on what authority director Shin Woo-seok had uploaded the video to. ADOR has argued that allowing the ETA director's cut to be posted on Dolphin Kidnapper's YouTube channel, which has 480,000 subscribers. Okay. Let me read this. ADOR has argued that allowing the ETA director's cut to be posted on Dolphin Kidnapper's YouTube channel, which has 480,000 subscribers. 480,000? Was it the right number? What did this article say? 38명. Okay, I guess at the time the Dolphiners had 186,000, but now it has 480,000 subscribers. This one needs to be looked into. At least, okay. So this article says that ADOR has argued that allowing the ETA director's cut to be posted on Dolphin Kidnapper's YouTube channel, which has 480,000 subscribers, rather than HYBE's official channel with 78.7 million subscribers, caused financial harm to both HYBE and ADOR, while benefiting the production company. That makes sense. Earlier, Shin Woo-seok filed a criminal complaint claiming that ADOR's statement labeling his upload as unauthorized defamed him, and ADOR responded with a civil lawsuit. During the hearing, both sides clashed over whether Shin Woo-seok had the authority to post the video and whether Min Hee-jin had granted him preferential treatment. Min Hee-jin appeared as a witness for the defense, her first time testifying in a case unrelated to her own stock put option lawsuit. Okay, that is emphasized by this article as well, because it's surprising. Under questioning from the defense, Min Hee-jin testified that it is common industry practice for music video directors to upload finished works not to the agency's social media or YouTube channels, but to their own account or website. Verbal agreements are standard in this industry. Let me skip this part. She added, it's normal. It's how things are done. Honestly, written contracts are what's strange. Try getting everything in writing. You would drown in paperwork. Okay, here's another detail that wasn't mentioned in the previous article. Try getting everything in writing, you would drown in paperwork. So that's why verbal agreements are standard in this industry. It's normal. It's how things are done. Written contracts are what's strange, she said. 서면으로 하는 게 엄청 특이하고 이상한 일이다. Wow. She added, the verbal agreements happened in a meeting with 5 people, including Apple's creative director, Thor, who's now a vice president. Apple creative director, Thor. Thor. I guess this guy was in the meeting, according to her. So him, who's now a vice president, he's not a corporate executive. He's a creator and a copywriter by background, someone who truly respects artistry. We thought, since this allows for one-source multi-use, it could be brought back later and surprise people again after they have forgotten it. That will be creatively exciting. About director Shin Woo-seok. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I wonder what this guy thinks about Min Hee-jin at this point and what she said about him in court. Anyways, about director Shin Woo-seok, Min Hee-jin said, he's not originally a music video director. Usually, if I hire people outside the idol industry, it creates extra work for me, so I tend to avoid it. But Shin Woo-seok is someone who believes that you have to completely change the structure and logic of a music video to make something creative. He didn't even want to do it at first, but I wanted a meaningful project, and I wanted to give him the space to express his creativity. I wanted to use his instincts, not in the sense of trusting him blindly, but in recognizing his creative sense and letting him run with it. Regarding Shin Woo-seok's upload of the video, she said, of course the approval was verbal. The copyright belongs to ADOR. I had authority to approve it. I was a CEO and producer. It would have been strange to go ask Apple for permission. Wow. She'll be really a good dictator. In a authoritarian regime. Of course, I'm being ridiculous here. When ADOR side suggested that uploading the video elsewhere might have reduced YouTube revenue, Min Hee-jin snapped. That's a foolish, ridiculous argument. And I mean that literally. It's absurd from where I stand. She continued, if anything, putting it on Dolphin Kidnapper channel helped ADOR. It opened up to a wider audience, the kind of viewers who actually watch idol content. And I think this is when the court intervened, saying that, that was ADOR's argument, claim. Do not use such phrase in court, when she said, that's a foolish, ridiculous argument. It's absurd from where I stand. But I don't think this article talked about that. She also mentioned an email she received from ADOR after being dismissed as CEO. My staffer, Kim Ye-min, briefed me. Yeah, Kim Ye-min is another key figure in Min Hee-jin's camp. My staffer, Kim Ye-min, briefed me, so I didn't respond. Lee Do-kyung kept asking if there had been prior discussions, and frankly, given all the pressure and schemes from HYBE, okay, so Lee Do-kyung was the vice president of ADOR after Min Hee-jin got dismissed. So it wasn't Lee Sang-woo. Did I say Lee Sang-woo? If I said that, let me take it back. Because after Min Hee-jin got dismissed from ADOR, Lee Sang-woo also left, right? That's when Kim Ju-young, ADOR, Kim Ju-young, became the CEO of ADOR. And Lee Do-kyung, Lee Do-kyung was the vice president. And now, Lee Do-kyung became the CEO of ADOR after the transition happened. All right, now it's clicked. Let me get back to the article. So Lee Do-kyung kept asking if there had been prior discussions, and frankly, given all the pressure and schemes from HYBE, I remember thinking, are they trying to dig for something else to attack me with now? Even asking about that felt strange. She added, it wasn't from anyone important, and I don't even remember the details. When asked about the subsequent takedown of the director's cut, Min Hee-jin sighed and said, I find the whole thing irrational. They write up one-sided contracts and then claim parts of it were violated just to demand damages. That's abusing the law. That's abusing the law? You're supposed to look at whether there's real harm and a real victim. But there are so many so-called legal tricksters, or literally legal eels, 법꾸라지, people who twist the system for their own ends. During questioning by the plaintiff, ADOR side brought up director Shin Woo-seok's post that read, it must be a difficult time, stay strong, referring to, talking to New Jeans fans. Min Hee-jin answered, that's the kind of assumption HYBE would make. I never asked him to post anything. When asked if it was part of some pre-planned effort to stir negative sentiments against HYBE, she sidestepped. That isn't what this trial is about. What we're dealing with today is whether director Shin Woo-seok can be held liable for damages. Why did she not flatly reject that? Flatly, denied here. when the lawyers asked her whether it was part of some pre-planned effort to stir negative sentiment against HYBE. Instead, she said, at least according to this article, that isn't what this trial is about. What we're dealing with today is whether director Shin Woo-seok can be held liable for damages. Interesting. On Shin Woo-seok's teaser for the director's cut, she said, I okayed it. We had already talked about it while we were still filming. You don't know in advance how much content you will be able to spin off. With making ofs behind the scenes, you only see the volume once you shoot. If 10 usable clips come out, we release 10. If it's just one, then one. You can't put that in paperwork. At one point, the court cautioned her for speculating. ADOR asked whether she had authorized Shin Woo-seok to post material owned by Apple. Min Hee-jin replied, we discussed those plans verbally. That's when it was agreed, prompting the judge to say, if you remember, say you remember. If you don't, say you don't. There's no need to guess. 기억이 나면 기억이 나는 대로 답변하고 모르면 모른다고 답하고 추측할 필요는 없다. Let me read that part again. All right. Now I'm glad that I'm reading this article as well to you. At one point, the court cautioned Min Hee-jin for speculating. ADOR asked whether she had authorized Shin Woo-seok to post material owned by Apple. Min Hee-jin replied, we discussed those plans verbally. That's when it was agreed, prompting the judge to say, if you remember, say you remember. If you don't, say you don't. There's no need to guess. Regarding Shin Woo-seok's coming soon post, she said, that wasn't something I needed to sign off on. We had already agreed verbally. I don't recall every detail. It's not whenever, it's about timing. We even had Apple VP tour in the room. If that isn't objective, what is? Yeah, this person. Pressed on why such a major agreement would be verbal, Min Hee-jin said, that's how everyone in the field works. I don't see why only Shin Woo-seok is being singled out. ADOR countered that ADOR had paid Dolphiners about 3.3 billion won, roughly a quarter of its annual revenue, and cited a side agreement saying the company had to reach 18 billion won in cumulative operating profit by 2026. So that's the Kakao Entertainment contract. They asked if she funneled work to help them hit the target. Min Hee-jin bristled. That's what people who don't understand contracts say. They didn't even read their own. And if you look at the director fees, Shin Woo-seok was underpaid. We made 5 or 6 videos for what one HYBE video cost. How is that favoritism? That's a smear. But didn't they say that ADOR paid him like unusually high fees for each video though? Yeah, at this point. Asked if she knew about the shareholder agreement, Min Hee-jin first said no. When asked if she had received a contract from Shin Woo-seok, she admitted yes. This is... yeah, this is great. Let me read this part again. Asked if Min Hee-jin knew about the shareholders agreement between Shin Woo-seok and Kakao, Min Hee-jin first said no. But when asked if she had received a contract from Shin Woo-seok, she admitted yes. She added, I didn't review it. I just passed it along. I don't remember exactly. Maybe the deputy CEO reviewed it. On a follow-up about how the agreement tied into day-to-day work, she shot back. You're asking because you don't know how the work is actually done. The person who sent that message wasn't on our project. If you're not hands-on, you can't know. When ADOR suggested she had given up revenue by letting Dolphiners upload the video, Min Hee-jin replied, that channel doesn't chase ad money. I was pursuing intangible value, something bigger than what you were talking about. Confronted with subscriber counts, 380,000 for New Jeans versus 180,000 for Dolphiners, she said, wait, 380,000 SNS New Jeans 채널은 okay. This is kind of confusing. Maybe this journalist was confused with the numbers about the 380,000 figures, because wasn't 380,000 the subscriber count for the channel that they Min Hee-jin turned down? Yeah, but this article says New Jeans social media channel. Maybe this was this journalist a mistake. But let me finish this article first. Anyways, she was questioned about the subscriber count, but she said creators don't all carry the same value. If you're asking why a small channel, it's because Shin Woo-seok is a star. Low follower count doesn't matter. You cannot reduce an influencer value to numbers. Asked why she put the director's cut on a 480,000 subscriber channel instead of HYBE's 78.7 million subscriber account, she answered plainly, because that was the point. It's more interesting there. On HYBE's channel, it's dull. The surprise of why is this here? That's part of the craft. Pan Hee-soo channel had few subscribers too, but fans loved it. Oh, okay, now I see. So Shin Woo-seok Dolphiners channel had 180,000. Now Pan Hee-soo, the unofficial New Jeans side project YouTube channel created by Shin Woo-seok and probably with Min Hee-jin, that had 480,000 subscribers. And she said, Pan Hee-soo had few subscribers too, but fans loved it because the content was unusual. If you don't understand the creative logic, you end up making boring, predictable content. I've had hits because I'm good at placing things where they will feel fresh. When it was suggested that only Dolphiners benefited from New Jeans, she said, not at all. That's a strange claim. It's not a paid channel, and they're not making money off this. I honestly don't see the problem. Weren't you the one who said that it's all about creating intangible values, though? But now you're saying that they didn't get benefits because they didn't turn on the ad money feature on their channel? What is she talking about? Later, we're almost there. The article says, later, responding to the judge, she said, in my 2.5 years, we produced more than 20 music videos in batches. This is the first time we've even had a director's cut. That's because Shin Woo-seok is atypical. Asked whether directors commonly upload their own versions, she said, usually they do. I don't recall specifics. It's for their portfolios. She added that the controversy had actually helped ADOR. People kept asking about the ending, and if it funneled more views to the main video, I really don't get why this is being nitpicked. The next hearing is set for December 9th. Okay, this article says that it's happening on December 9th, while Dispatch article says December 19th. And the second article also said that December 9th is the next hearing. This is why it's better for you to read multiple articles when you're trying to draw a full picture, because each one has different details laid out. And sometimes there are some inaccuracies. So by reading multiple, you know which one is correct and which one is probably incorrect. But anyway, super interesting how deeply Min Hee-jin and director Shin Woo-seok seem to misunderstand the meaning of accountability, right? Min Hee-jin's calling Shin Woo-seok a star as if that status alone justifies bypassing contracts and intellectual internal procedures. So yeah, I guess in her world, charisma replaces compliance, and creative chemistry excuses any breach of structure. And I'm not gonna deny the quality of music videos produced by Shin Woo-seok. There might be some values in it. And in fact, when I used to be a New Jeans fan, I also made an analysis video of one of music videos made by Shin Woo-seok. But it's a separate matter whether Min Hee-jin and Shin Woo-seok made a separate scheme, secret scheme for whatever. And whether she funneled work to Shin Woo-seok to help him out when it came to the contract with Kakao to help him make more money. But what's important is that her language throughout the testimony reveals something troubling, right? A sense of superiority toward the very system that employed her. And she's framing ADOR and HYBE's contractual norms as bureaucratic, almost mocking the need for documentation, while portraying herself as someone above such constraints. And that's not creative conviction, I would say. It's contempt for the basic rules that protect both artists and companies. And I feel like this is why education matters, because someone like her might be really a great politician in a region where people just do not appreciate the system. Of course, a lot of times countries have systems that have flaws and too much bureaucratic elements. But here, she's just flatly disrespecting the system, you know what I'm saying? And of course, she's saying all these because it's benefiting her. And Min Hee-jin is also portraying herself as a victim of HYBE schemes and legal manipulation, yet never addresses the core question: why she, as a CEO, allowed company-owned intellectual property, IP, to be used for someone else's gain. And instead of owning that decision, she deflects blame, invoking emotion and conspiracy where clear answers are needed. And even the way she dismisses the takedown issue, calling it irrational and accusing others of abusing the law, it shows how she weaponizes rhetoric to avoid responsibility. And it's a pattern, right? When she's being challenged, she doesn't explain. She simply attacks. Now, before we wrap, one more article, and I'm just going to read this particular paragraph at the very end. 조선일보's article. The title is funny. Former ADOR CEO Min Hee-jin said, Min Hee-jin said, yes, when she was asked if she was aware that Min Hee-jin's claims had been rejected in every court ruling. The journalist. I would say many journalists do not really appreciate Min Hee-jin either. Anyways, the last paragraph of this article says, legal experts, when asked if she was aware of the shareholder agreement, referring to the one between Shin Woo-seok and Kakao Entertainment, Min Hee-jin answered no. But when asked if she had received a copy of the contract from Director Shin, she admitted yes. She added, I didn't review it myself, I only passed it along. I think Deputy Director A was the one who reviewed it. Legal experts, the article says, legal experts noted that stock purchase agreements typically include strict confidentiality clauses, barring anyone outside the parties from viewing the terms. Breaching such confidentiality could itself constitute a contractual violation. One legal insider commented, if Director Shin of Dolphin Kidnappers shared his contract with Kakao Entertainment with Min Hee-jin, who is a third party, that could become a source of serious controversy later. Yeah, Min Hee-jin continues to dig her own grave, or rather a grave for someone else in her own party. Yeah, so that exchange where Min Hee-jin first denies knowing about the Kakao shareholder agreement, but then admits to receiving the actual contract, is one of the most revealing moments in this trial, right? At least during this hearing. Because it really captures her habitual deflection. Denying knowledge when convenient, then conceding involvement only when cornered by evidence. And her explanation that she just passed it along and didn't read it is incriminating, I mean, a CEO cannot simply forward confidential corporate documents from a third party and claim ignorance. And the fact that she handled it so casually shows how little respect she has for legal boundaries. And And if a director's private contract with Kakao was shared with her, someone entirely outside that transaction, then there's probably a potential breach of confidentiality law. So yeah, Min Hee-jin has built her defense around the idea that she's being punished for creativity, for not playing by corporate rules. But this isn't about creativity. Sorry, it's about compliance. And what's striking, again, is how this pattern keeps repeating. Every time the law demands structure, she appeals to instinct and emotion. And that's the strategy for New Jeans and Sejong all along. But courts do not operate on instinct, and corporations cannot run on personality cults. And this really shows why people in the industry and ADOR and HYBE are treating her behavior not as eccentric, but as dangerous. So yeah, there we go. At this point, Min Hee-jin is come across as someone who bends every rule and calls it creativity. But the contradictions in her own testimony aren't really small slips. They're habits, right? She talks like she's above procedure, above contracts, above accountability, as if common sense is something that applies to everyone else. But the more she speaks, the more detached from reality she sounds. And yeah, this was great. There's a reason why I keep making videos about her, even though, just like you guys, just like everyone else, I'm kind of tired of her. But what was the most memorable part for you from this hearing and her testimony? And honestly, what was the most ridiculous thing she said? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I wonder how many of you are still watching this. And I know there's a big news that just happened, and I will make a video about it accordingly once I have enough materials. But as always, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy. Peace and love. Bye-bye.